You're editing a photo on Photoshop now, it's time to add some shadows, but you don't know exactly how to make it look more realistic. Which one of these shadows you think is realistic? One on the right or one on the left? Yes, you're right. It's on the right side. What makes this shadow on the other side look more realistic? That's exactly what I'm going to teach you on this video. In order to understand this, you first need to know about ambient occlusion. It's a technique mainly used in games to make shadows look more realistic. It is shadows that occur in areas where surfaces are close to each other, making it harder for light to reach those places. On the left, you can see ambient occlusion is switched off and the pipe has shadows that are produced by the main light. But on the right side, you can see shadows produced by the main light as well as the shadows produced by the areas that are way too close to each other, like this area. That adds more depth to an image, making it look more realistic. The shadows that you see here are produced by the tight places. Those who knows to draw knows this clearly when they study to shade. But graphic designers, those who don't know to draw, doesn't understand this clearly. Hope at the end of this video you get a clear picture, therefore you definitely need to subscribe for more videos like this. I have set up two examples for you to use the ambient occlusion. So here's the first one and here's the second one. I think we'll start from here. So what you can do is you have to take a copy of this and convert it to a color overlay layer. So if I put it black, when I pull it down, you can see we have the shadow. But before that, you have to know where the light is coming from. Light is coming from all the way up here. So it touches the surface and this is where the shadow should fall, and here as well, all the way down here. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to select this, go to filter, blur, you go to motion blur and make sure this angle is set to somewhere like -90, so it will be upright. And then as you can see, it is getting extended on the sides. That I don't like. Let us put it more inwards. Okay, now you have a cool looking shadow, and what you will do is most of the time what most of everyone will do is they will reduce the opacity and they will doesn't feel good about this. Okay, yeah, you have created a direct shadow but you have not created ambient occlusion here. Okay, when the surfaces are closest to each other, it should produce more stronger shadow. That's exactly what I'm going to do right now. In order to do this, one more time, take a duplicate copy of this. Yeah, once you have taken, just double click on it, go to color overlay, set it to black this time, put it further more down. Okay, I'm going to move this little bit way too closer to my box, and then I would this time go for Gaussian blur instead of motion. So once you're here, increase this size, the radius of the blur, the strength of the blur. Now as you can see, it looks great, but in the process it got blurred all the way to the tops as well. So let us select it, take the eraser tool and just erase the unwanted parts. So I'll just go around. Yeah, we are good to go. And one more thing, I'm going to reduce the opacity of this furthermore down, and then take one more copy, increase this, and using the arrow keys put it furthermore up. Okay, so let me just select that one and use the arrow keys, put it furthermore up. Now I will take some more down. Okay, yeah, that's it. The trick here is to, as soon as the object, right, the edge objects, as soon as the object edges end, the shadow should be very dark. That's the trick to achieve ambient occlusion. Now as you can see, it looks great and all. Now what you can do is add a texture, background texture like this. But as you can see, something doesn't feel right, because we have to create a great shadow. You should not only think about shadows, you have to worry about where the light would fall on these surfaces right here. On this side it will be a lot darker. So in this case this background is well lit, therefore it doesn't look more realistic. What I could do is maybe I can add a curve or a level. In this case I will go for curve. Then I would make the background a lot more darker. Maybe I can pull this down as well a little bit to overall make it darker. And now let us use the brush tool and paint only on the dark side. So I can increase the size of the brush, and then I can paint somewhere here and not so much here, because in this area the light would fall on this area right there. As you can see, a small touch, maybe its opacity is a bit too much. I'll reduce it a bit. As you can see, the before and after, all of a sudden that adds more realism. But one more thing you have to consider is the color of the shadow. When a shadow falls on a certain surface, it is going to take the color of the surface color, but it's going to be a little bit darker than the surface color. So what we can do in this case is select all these three and group them together, and you can give a layer style to the group, and you can go to color overlay and maybe pick a darker color from the background itself, like dark brown. And now you can see a huge change. Now all of a sudden this looks more realistic. Now let me go for the next one. Before you add shadows, take a look at the background. This is a well lit background. Everywhere there is lights all around the orange. Therefore, the shadow is not going to be that visible. First of all, you can add a circle, go to filter, blur, give it some motion blur. I would give it in the 0 angle, maybe the strength is enough. Pull it down and reduce its size. This is what beginners would do. They will select this because right now the shadow is way too much. They will select this and they will reduce the opacity to a lower number, and now they will think the shadow is okay and all, but it is not at all. It doesn't look realistic at all. Why is that? Because the ambient occlusion is missing. So let's add it. In order to add that, make sure to duplicate the shadow several times. So let us select this one and take a duplicate copy of it, reduce its size like this, reduce its size, take one more copy, reduce its size too, take another copy and reduce its size as well. For the last one, make sure to give 100% of the opacity, and I'll try to keep it directly below the orange. Now as you can see, all of a sudden looks good, but when we consider about the overall lighting, this effect is way too much. Not only that, we can see the sharp lines here that we have to remove. So select all of this. Maybe you can merge them together, and then you can go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then you have to slowly increase this until those lines goes away. I think maybe a little bit more, and those lines are now not visible. But yet for the overall lighting, this is way too much, the strength of this. So overall you can reduce the brightness of it and take a copy and reduce it just like how you did before, and remember to increase the opacity. And then when you check it out, now as you can see, this looks far too better than how a beginner would do, because the trick here is directly, as soon as directly under the object there should be a very dark shadow. Here too, when we added it, it all of a sudden adds realism. For more awesome videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. I have made another video on how to come up with easy color combination without thinking too much. Please watch that out as well.